Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and this is Elite Dangerous, episode 2 of my new Inside the Rift series, and this is where I play the game using the Oculus Rift. And sorry, I'm just jiggling the headset around a little bit at the moment, trying to get a little bit more of a comfy fit. Sorry about that. But basically what you see is what I see inside the Rift. I've got my Cobra still, the ship I was using during the previous episode. I was doing some community goals for Yembo, but that now seems to be complete, so I'm going to need to do something a little bit different with my ship, and I'm inclined to outfit it for a little bit of combat, and that does depend on what modules are available at this system. I don't really want to travel too far. But the thing is, I also don't think I've got too many credits available at the moment, so I may need to change the ship back to a Viper again. But in either event, it will give you a good opportunity to have a look at what the Cobra looks like outside the ship when using the Rift. On the outfitting screen, I can actually move around a little bit and lean around the UI, as you can see here. And if I was so inclined, I can even get up and walk around the hangar area a little bit. But what I'm going to do is show you what the Cobra looks like from some angles you may not normally get to see it. So there we can see a few of the outside modules. So the Cobra is actually a very large ship. You can see there by the landing gear, it's quite large. There's probably, I'd say, around about 10 foot tall, the landing gear itself. This part of the ship is well above my head. So it's a very large ship. It may not always be apparent from that when you're just looking at the outfitting screen normally, or when you're inside the cockpit, and there you can see the entryway into the ship. So it very much feels that if I was standing there on the hangar and happened to stretch up and reach my hand out to the fullest length, I could just barely maybe touch the bottom of the Cobra. So it's a very large ship, and there we can see the ship from a little bit higher up, and it seems the little entranceway is not complete there. There's something missing down there, a little black void. You fall down there, you fall into the mist. So let's have a look, what modules are here for my ship, but it probably isn't going to be too much of an option here to upgrade. I've only got around about 250,000 credits, so I doubt whether I'm going to be able to outfit it in a particularly good way. The other option, of course, is to fit high FSD and see if I can make it out to New Yembo. I wouldn't mind seeing the station that's under construction, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that, and that is around about 250 light years from my current location. So I will do that on my other series and get out there with my ASP and show you the station under construction there. With this guy, I think we'll trade the Cobra for a Viper and have a look at a little bit of combat. I think I'll also do a trip around the outside of the station here and give you some up close views of what the station looks like in the Rift. From a normal view using the monitor, the station actually looks, well, you don't get the true sense of scale from the station, I don't think, on a monitor. They look big, but they don't look 2 mile wide big or more. And when you're using the Rift, that sense of scale is right in your face. So I'll see if I can convey a little bit of that for you when we get outside the station in a little bit. That's if this transaction goes through. Yep. And there it goes. Brilliant. So I'm going to need to outfit this ship. I'll probably edit to the end of the outfitting there, because I'm usually fairly slow at outfitting, and it's probably going to take me 10 minutes or so to do that. But here straight away you can see me underneath the Viper, and it looks a little bit smaller than the Cobra, but nonetheless these are still very large ships. Even the smallest ship in Elite is larger than 3 or 4 cars combined, so not small by any means. But I will outfit it with 4 weapons. It can be a little nauseating to an extent, at least for me, when you're sitting up high like this and you're kind of leaning forward on the Oculus Rift, as though you're leaning forward at about 30-degree angle, and obviously you're just floating there in space, so it certainly gives you a little bit of vertigo, even though that's not something I normally experience in the everyday world. It is something the Rift can cause you to experience a bit. And we'll go for the best shield we can afford here. This won't be a A-rated vessel by any means. That's still a little bit out of my reach in terms of credits, but there's many ways you can outfit a combat ship to be very effective without going for the most expensive modules. As you saw then, I went for a B-rated shield, which was significantly cheaper than the A-rated shield. And in terms of combat around here, that is more than adequate, unless I get myself into a very, very sticky situation, which I'm not expecting or intending to do. The other important things to look out for on a combat vessel, very important actually, is a power distributor as well as a power plant. The better power distributor you got, the longer you can fire your weapons for. I'd love to go for an A-rated power distributor here, but that's a little bit unfeasible at the moment, so this is going to be the best I can do, but that should be more than adequate for the moment. There doesn't seem to be any shield cell banks here. I would prefer to use them, but I'm quite happy to go into combat without them. They didn't used to be in the game at any rate, so it's just a matter of managing the combat effectively. And I think that pretty much does it. We're near enough there for the outfitting. How much money we got left? I don't want to run myself totally dry on credits there, but I will change that, I think. And that looks pretty much it. You know, I'm going to have another look for the shield cell banks. There must be at least one here, surely. Although I'm quite happy to go into combat without one. Having one does make combat a little bit easier, or makes it a lot easier actually. But then again, I'm up for the challenge to go in without one, so if there's not one here, that's fine. It just seems a little bit surprising that there's not one. Normally there's one, even if it's not the class or rating you actually want. But no, I'm not going mad. They definitely don't seem to be here. So, okay, not a problem, not to worry. I think that does it for the outfitting of this particular combat build of the ship. I think we can get going. That should be a reasonably effective build for what I want to do here. Oh, fire groups. Let's have a look at that. I want all the weapons on a single trigger here. The power distributor and power plant should be enough. I'll put these two onto the second fire group just so I can see how many chaff I've got left in the inventory. As you can see, they appear over the left there. Okay then, time to head out, I think. Let's just make sure everything's all comfy and off we go. Now, I'll probably go to a resource extraction site. I think there's one fairly nearby, but it doesn't seem to be showing up on the navigation list. Not to worry, I'll have a look at that when we get out there. Right, so off we go. I'm in solo mode this week. I think it was open play that was causing a lot of the graphical lag that we was experiencing in the previous episode. So that means I can fly a little bit faster out of here because there's no risk of crashing into any players. So now let's see where that ringed planet is. There should be one around here. right nearby. Actually, the first thing I wanted to do was show you the station, wasn't it, up close? So let's try and do a little bit of skimming around the station here. The frame rate that I'm experiencing at the moment isn't optimal. When you're using the Oculus Rift, you want a steady 75 frames a second, and because I've got a second window running here, and I'm actually recording that second window as well with not the most efficient recording software, I've experiencing a slight reduction in frame rate, which means it's a little bit laggy for me here. Might look smooth for you, but it's a little bit laggy for me, and that means I may possibly clip the station a couple of times, but it's a risk I'm willing to take to let you guys and girls have a look here. And this station really does seem absolutely massive here. As I look off to the furthest edge of that station that I can see here before it disappears around its corner, I'd say that feels like at least a mile in distance. And I'm going to try and sneak in the gap here. I can't quite see where the struts begin and where they end, but I'm guessing I can get in here. And yeah, I'm in here. Now this station is rotating in this direction, so I'm going to have to use my lateral thrusters a bit as the station is constantly moving toward me. But again here it feels reasonably like there's a lot. Yeah, I clipped that. It feels like there's quite a lot of room actually inside that little passageway there, and on a monitor it actually looks like there's not much room at all, but it's actually blind. It's actually deceiving, and there's way more there than you may at first think. I'm not going to head in there as much as I'd like to. So I'm not sure how this is going to come across on the window that you're actually seeing here on the video. You probably won't get the sense of scale because obviously you're not seeing it in stereoscopic. But nonetheless, the head tracking and the wider field of view should give you quite a different sensation to what you'd normally experience here. A little bit closer to the surface here. Watch out. Oh, I didn't see the little aerial sticking out there. Luckily the shields are a little bit tough, eh? But yeah, the Coriolis stations are nice. They've got brilliant surfaces to fly along. I do like the Orbis ones as well. You've probably seen me fly around them in a similar fashion previously. If I can get out to the station that's under construction out in New Yembo later with my ASP, I'll do something similar there and give you some nice close-up views of the new station. But for now, that's the station skimming done. Let's go out and find a little bit of combat. We can earn ourselves some bounty and increase our funds and maybe outfit the ship a little bit better. Once the ship's all nicely up to date, what I'll do is we'll head off for some adventures in other systems and see what opportunities await us out there. I'm not intending to do anything particularly specific with this series. It's going to be a case of being the lone wanderer, going out and looking for what opportunities lay in wait for us, what adventures we can uncover. Whereas my other series is always going to be about exploration. And although back on the ASP biome, back in civilized space, I think I might even be in a very similar area to this. I still need to build up a few more credits before I head out on the exploration trips again. But anyway, for now we're here in the Rift on this particular ship, and the adventure that's laying in wait at the moment is at this resource extraction site. A little bit later I think I'll show you the ice asteroids, as they do look very, very good inside the Oculus Rift, but to do that I'd want somewhere that's a little bit better lit than here. It seems a little bit dark around here, and maybe that's because we're further away from the sun. I don't know. These places do look a lot better if you can find a system that's got a great conjunction with the sun, and it makes the ice asteroids stand out much, much better. So later, if I can find a system like that, I'll head into the ice asteroid ring, and show you what that looks like through the Rift. But As it is, we're nearly here at the resource extraction site, and yes, we can drop out of warp now. I think let's do that then. And here we are. Right, still a few kilometers away from the target, but nothing has spawned in just yet. That don't load in until a few seconds later. This is something I'm hoping Frontier can fix at some point in the future. It will be nice to be able to jump into a site like this and find it already populated, rather than being populated after your arrival. The way I justify this to myself is that my sensors are still scanning the system and only picking up the stuff that's already there after a few seconds. I did ask a few questions last time about the aspect ratio, and it seemed the majority of people preferred the zoomed out version, so that's what I've stuck with for this episode. And to be honest, it does give us a slightly better quality video anyway. Right, that's the first wanted. That was a pretty quick find, wasn't it? Let's shoot him up. Looks like he's trying to attack me, but is not a very good shot. Now, the one thing in combat that I really do enjoy with the Oculus Rift is the head tracking, and I have used head tracking on a monitor, and whilst it is very impressive, it really doesn't compare to what you see on a Rift here. As you can see, I literally keep the target in my sights at all times, and when you're using head tracking on a monitor, you can turn your heads, but you sort of have to keep your eyes always focused forward, whereas on here I can my eyes are moving around all the time, as the field of view is, well, it doesn't fully encompass your entire field of view, but it does encompass close to 100 degrees or so. So that does mean I can swivel my eyes left and right and up and down like you would if you were really sitting inside the cockpit of your ship here. And again, I can turn my head up as well as look up with my eyes. So yeah, people tell you it's very immersive, and perhaps that's become a little bit of a dirty word nowadays. It's overused, I don't know, but immersion is the only word you can use for this. That or presence, the sense of actually feeling that you're there. So that was pretty easy work. Again, I know I've mentioned this before, but back in beta, a Cobra is something I really would have thought twice of taking on, even in a Viper. But nowadays it seems to be a fairly easy target. Even an Anaconda is something I won't really hesitate to take on, especially in an area like this where the police are going to help you out. Let's see if we can find another target here. I'd like a larger target, to be honest, but anything is good. It's just a sensation of flying around here, of being in literally being in an asteroid field, and of being able to look around space and feeling like you're there. Never gets old. There were some rumours recently that the consumer version of the Oculus Rift is going to be released in April of this year, and that's only 2 months away, and there's actually been no official word from Oculus yet, so I have my doubts about that. In fact, I'm highly doubtful about that, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that there might be another dev kit on the horizon at some point, although Oculus have said that the DK2 would be the last dev kit before the final consumer version. It wouldn't surprise me if another dev kit did arrive. I know they've set their aim very high for the consumer version of the Rift, and I can totally understand that and relate to that. Only makes sense for the best possible product to be out there. There's also been an announcement from Valve, the guys behind Steam, saying that they're going to reveal their own VR headset at GTC this year. So that means another headset on the market. I'm really hoping that these systems are all going to be compatible with each other, and that there's not going to be exclusive games just to one system. It'd be much better if they work more like a monitor than any other piece of equipment. that's exclusive, such as you get console game exclusives. Hopefully it'll work like a regular piece of PC hardware that would be compatible with any other games, but only time's gonna tell. It's possible that Facebook may lock the Oculus down at some point, and it's also possible that Steam would lock their VR headset down to their own platform, their own gaming platform. But who knows? Only time's gonna tell, like I say. But I do feel VR is certainly very much the future. I don't think it's a gimmick by any means. There was a lot of talk a few years ago about 3D monitors and 3D TVs, and although that's still quite big, it just didn't seem to have the kick when you first experience it that VR does. And once there's a commercial headset out there, and maybe it's in the stores and people can actually try it out for themselves, it really is going to jump in popularity. I really do believe that. Although I do think that's still quite a few years away, and it's not going to be something that happens in the next 2 or 3 months or even 6 months. And if it does happen within that time frame, it's going to be a fairly niche thing for a while. VR's got a little way to go before it's something that's going to be adopted by everyone. It's going to need a wider field of view, it's going to need to be a little bit more comfy, and the screen resolution is going to need to be quite a lot higher. In fact, John Carmack, the main programmer at Oculus, has actually said that for VR to be truly believable, for it to truly be pretty much indistinguishable from real life, you're going to need displays that are 16K in resolution per eye. And of course there's no computer available on the commercial market that I know of that would come even close to be able to run in that at the moment. So a few years away before we even get that. And again, I don't even think there's any 16K displays around. Certainly not of the size that would be needed to fit a Rift. But technology progresses at an amazing rate, doesn't it? So who's to say that that sort of thing won't be around in a few years? So the bounties are building up fairly fast here, which is nice. Nice little bit of cash to take home. I'm going to hang around here for a little while longer, but I think this will be a wrap for this particular episode. Next episode I'm going to head out somewhere else to another system, maybe the next system across, or maybe another system a few hundred light years away. Who knows which it's going to be. We're going to have to see what adventure awaits us out there. Aside from the exploration, this is one of the things I really do enjoy about Elite. The fact that you can just fly out there and find adventure, and that you can chop and change between ships to match whatever adventure you feel like going on or come across at that particular moment. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. This has been Obsidian Ant, signing off.